People with this placement yearn, and sometimes I guess burn, if we want to get a little Bridgerton with it, for people that can listen to them and hear them through their silence. This is Psyche in Aquarius. Psyche is asteroid 16 in astrology, if you would like to look it up for yourself in your own chart. And in Aquarius, a lot of times people with this placement, what's happening mentally is oftentimes mirrored by their environment. So if their house is a mess, you best believe what's going on up here is also a mess. And if their house is a mess, their habits are a mess. Their routine is all off, if they even had one to begin with. And a lot of times we can see mood disorders or just kind of like general mental health starting to decline when they're in this state a lot of times. And because Psyche has this kind of moon, Mercury kind of situation, that's why I say it's like sometimes mood disorders can be seen with people with that have like Psyche in Aquarius. We can also see there being like some kind of general anxiety because of the chaos that they're already in. And so it's like a never-ending cycle of chaos because their external environment is feeding into the chaos that's already happening mentally. But what's happening mentally is showing externally, and so it's just like a never-ending cycle. And for that reason, these people might really search out a partner that is grounding or that just kind of accepts their chaos. Aquarius energy in itself is a bit of a paradox. Some people might call it a contradiction. To be nice, we'll call it a paradox. But Psyche and Aquarius can be simultaneously obsessed with their partner, but also want their own freedom. And so while they expect loyalty and devotion and a little bit of obsession, they also want room to breathe. And they expect that from their partner, and they'll give that vice versa. But I think that's where Aquarius's air-like nature comes in, is that they don't like stagnancy, and these people are going to be the ones that constantly want to make changes to maybe rules of the relationship, or want something to spice things up, to make the mundane feel a little more chaotic and messy. Because what we can also see with this Psyche placement is that they oscillate between silence and oversharing. And there is no in between. We can see them being very empowered and feeling really empowered and inspired by themselves for sharing so much, and then oscillate almost immediately, sometimes, into shame, like, oh my God, did I do too much there? And I think this comes from that wound of feeling unaccepted by people. People with Psyche in Aquarius inherently feel disconnected, detached, and just kind of misunderstood by their own human experience. Psyche does have a lot to do with like yearning and love wounds, and so this all ties into just kind of like mentality and how they relate to people. And so a lot of times, even though these people are usually very like relatable, or they attract a lot of people from different walks of life, these people can be very quiet and possibly a little shy. They can be very introverted. But what I will say is that sometimes, at their worst, this loneliness is kind of like their own fault, because there is a subconscious kind of fear of, nobody gets me, or so therefore I shouldn't even try to be social because like people just won't get it. And on the other end, part of them is right, to be fair. I won't say that it's all a delusion, because it's not. I think part of this is an intuitive kind of insight that not everybody is going to understand their vibe, because Psyche in Aquarius is a very different kind of vibe. But they do want to make sure that they are at least being mindful, so that they can kind of tap into this experience, so that they aren't missing out on genuine good connections just because they assume that people won't understand them. If that's the case, then they'll miss the very people that will understand them the most and give them that community that they are so desperately seeking. Essentially, what I'm saying is because these people can be so good at dissociating and literally like kind of acting like an alien and alienating themselves For the sense of like efficiency and what seems like more quote unquote smart, they will just kind of give up on connecting with people sometimes. But then there are other times, like when they're oversharing, where they can be the life of the party. But make no mistake, these people are deeply idealistic and romantic dreamers and visionaries. No one does it quite like them. They are looking for like their cosmic match, somebody that can really understand and match their weird. These people are really great when it comes to, or they're really good for, like blurting out amazing, inspiring insights, and they usually change a lot of people's lives. Even if they don't say much, they really impact a lot of people when they do talk. Because even though what they might say or express might seem sudden, including their emotions, might seem sudden, they've been sitting on it for a long time, and they've thoroughly thought about it, felt it, all of that, and they just might decide to drop some gems on you just casually, and then you're over there slack-jawed like, wow, didn't realize you were going to change my life today. But that is just the magic of people with Psyche and Aquarius. Finally, when it comes to their emotions, like I said, their emotions and how they express them, you can't really force people with Psyche and Aquarius, like with provoking them to express their emotions. Time is the key. It is arguably the only thing that will make them kind of express their emotions. And when it does, it'll come out very strong and very what seems sudden to you. But again, they have been feeling that for quite some time, and they have thought about it, felt it, all the things, like studied it like aliens do thoroughly. And so while you might need a minute to process all of what they felt and what they just said, they are probably halfway over it by the time that they have actually spilled it out and left it on your doorstep like a cat that just brought you home a dead rat. Or there's another like side of Psyche and Aquarius that actually might want to talk things out. But again, it depends on how much they've matured and evolved, and if they actually want to build something at all with you. Because again, these people are good for wanting to communicate one moment and then ghosting you the next. But that is all I have for Psyche and Aquarius. Let me know where your Psyche is, or do you have Psyche and Aquarius? Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.